What a year we have had. I cannot believe from September to now, when we're recording this is mid-April, that we're in spring of 2024. It's crazy.
I feel like it flew by. Like
Yeah.
what happened? Welcome, trendsetters. We're Alicia and Nicole from Positive Image. As salon owners, hairstylists, and business coaches, we're here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of the beauty industry and discover the secrets to creating a thriving salon business. So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up in your salon chair, and let's dive into the world of hairstyle and entrepreneurship together.
Alicia and I have made a decision with this podcast. We are going to be continuing on, but to our listeners, we want full transparency. It is a lot of work. And so what we've decided is that we're going to have seasons and we are going to continue on. So this is our last episode of season 1, and we are going to continue on season 2 starting September 30th, 2024. And that's going to give us all summer long to record and to come up with great ideas, to have you, the listener, contact us and let us know what topics that you want to hear about. If there's, I'm sure you guys have some great ideas. So if there's any ideas that you have, if you want to be on the show, if you want to be interviewed for concept or creation or the way that you run your salon that's different to the way Alicia and I run our salon, please, we'd love your input.
Yeah, I'm very excited just to have the time over the summer and spring to reflect on the first season and how that went. And I feel like we've received so much beautiful feedback. I want to say beautiful because I think the whole reason why we've created Positive Image, period, never mind podcast, is to share all of the things that we know because we know how hard it is to not know. And the feedback from people just being grateful that this information is out there or that we're doing what we're doing. I'm excited to review the first season and then plan the second season with a little bit of that insight. And exactly like you're saying, like leave us a review and comment what you liked, what you didn't like, questions, whether you want to connect, reach out by email, however it is that you want to connect with us, or give us a pain point or a topic that you want to know more about. Um, Even joining our Facebook group, Salon Owners of Ontario, because we're always answering questions in there and everyone else in that community is also answering questions. So be a part of it. Yay.
Well, and I think what we've really, I think since we first met and to this state, we've really gotten such an appreciation as to what we know, but also what we don't know. And there's such a vast world out there of things that we don't know. And so we would love to be educated and we would love to learn more about certain things. And if there is anything that we got wrong or you disagreed with, please tell us.
I love that. I love that comment, that awareness. You and I always talk about community over competition, and I think that's been a much more popular conversation in recent years as well. And I think that reiterates that you and I, as people, we don't actually believe that our way is the only way, which I think is such a beautiful collaboration between us. Is that literally both of us run our salons two different ways. Yet we both, privately, aside from what we teach and share, we're both always being like, hey, what do you do for this thing? Oh, okay, cool. I do mine this way. Oh, okay. You know what? This gives me some ideas for this thing. And we collaborate off of each other, even though it's individually for our own spaces. We're still collaborating together to think, how can we as individuals, salon owners, businesses be better for ourselves, for those around us, and continue to grow? So We want to know what you don't like. We want to know what you do like. We also want you to work through your reactive offensiveness.
Well, and that actually is such a good point, is because if you are being offended by something that we're saying, and hopefully not too strongly, but why? What is your trigger? Because that's going to open up so many doors and possibilities with you. Is this a trigger that you have with your staff? Is this a trigger that you have with your spouse or your family? And how can you turn it from a trigger into that awareness? So now you're using that emotion to learn and grow rather than to cut off and to step away from. And so use it for your good, not your evil, so to
Exactly.
speak. Mm-hmm.
So let's recap.
This season, I have a list of things in my trusty notebook. We started with our first podcast, you and I, because this was an individual project that started just with me. My vision for it was called Hair 101 at that time. My vision for Hair 101 was just to really educate the new stylists. And then when my laziness got the best of me, and I just found it really hard just talking to myself to a microphone, and it's much more engaging. And I think the material that's coming up with Alicia and I collaborating together is turning into this beautiful thing that is becoming its own entity. And the first three that we did, our first one was our intro, and then we got into how to hire new staff, and then how to pick your brand. And then our fourth podcast was retail buying and retail. And our fifth one was retail selling, how to sell retail.
Do you have any thoughts on those prior ones?
The first three, the first one in particular, I love the fact that we started with how we met and sharing our story, because I think to the listener, that is such an interesting thing, because you never know, just even in your online interaction, who is going to be your reason or your season or your lifetime. And I am so glad that you aren't just the reason, and that you're not just the season, because we're going on to season two, and that I really hope that you and I are lifetime friends, because we have something absolutely magical. So the first one with the about us, like that just made me happy. And just to hear kind of both sides of that.
Yeah. I love all that vulnerability you just shared. I feel the same too. And I think it's exactly that. And I think, if we want to kind of derail for a second, and go into when you talk about business partnerships and how it can be a challenging thing to find the right business partner. And, you and I are both solo owners, and we don't have that additional person to sit there and help us through it. I think additionally in a whole nother level of this one little side portion that we're creating and is a little bit of a passion project for us. Um, it's also nice in a way that we've made friends and business partners in a like joined but also separate way, because sometimes it feels like we may not be business partners in our salon, but we are kind of still business partners in our salon, because we do get to have that person to collaboratively talk about things with, and also get to bounce off those ideas, right? Which is something we don't normally have. And knowing that both of us are coming from a place of good and heart and soul, and both of us are continuously working on ourselves as well and growing. And I think, like you said, it's beautiful and heartwarming, and we're both very excited.
Well, and just to add to that quickly, like, I know most solo owners usually have partners too. And it's really like, I love talking to my husband about business stuff, but he does not get the hair industry in the same way as when I talk with you. And it's so refreshing just to know that somebody has my back. It's not about the bottom line. It's not about trying to like put my business down to up yours or vice versa. It's just as you said, it's from the heart. And it's just been, yeah, it's such an amazing friendship. And I'm so grateful for you and for this. And just, I hope that the listener hears that this is a possibility for them. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're not sure, or if you feel like nobody's there to help me or who can help me without wanting money or wanting something, it is possible. And I hope that Alicia and I can show you that this is a huge possibility for you to find your Alicia.
That's beautiful. I love that.
And then from our, back to business, no more sappy stuff.
Give yourself a moment. Give
Yeah.
yourself a moment. Deep breath.
How to hire new staff. So we really got into navigating hiring in the beauty industry, which is something we are very passionate about. And this is also something that we have a masterclass on. So if this podcast, the How to Hire New Staff, really you feel like that one was not enough, that you wanted more, just reach out to us and we can let you know when our master classes are being held, because I think both of us are really strongly love to talk about this topic. We've had some amazing successful new hires. We have had some not so successful new hires. So learn from us.
100%. I'm going to add to that. And so we do have one master class currently available virtually. So you can just purchase it at any time. And the building a team with confidence should be ready by end of May, end of June. I got a busy April. That's all I gotta say. It's a busy April. So it should be available soon. Give it a couple months and it should be ready. And then you can do it that way, or you can opt for when we're going to be in person.
Amazing. And then we got into retailing and how to pick your brand, which is not a discussion that I've heard a lot of in the past. So I was really excited for this one, and just all the ideas that we came up with choosing your perfect brand. And I love the perspective, Alicia, that you gave on how you aligned with the brand that you use in your salon. And again, I think for the listener, it is possible to have the perfect brand that reflects your own personal brand. So I would encourage somebody who's just about to open up a salon to really go back and listen to our retail How to Pick Your Brand.
Yeah, I think that one was really cool just to see how both of us got into deciding two very different ways. And I think it was just a good awareness for people to realize like, there are different ways. Yeah.
Then there is our retail buying and retail selling. And both of these really just get into like, okay, you've picked your retail brand and now how much are you going to spend getting into your budget? And then now you have the brand on your shelf. How do you sell it? How do you let the clients know what is your way of educating people? And this is our way of educating people. So if that was getting into those two topics.
I think we just went over just talking about, internal like team building promotion types of activity, right? And I think we might have also gotten into like giving back because it's holiday, right? So like how every brand's got their beauty boxes, they got their box sets, shampoos and a product at a deal. But adding something extra where you're giving back and like maybe it is a gift, an additional gift on top of that for the client, but maybe there's a way that you can give back to your community or some charity that really means something to you. I think that's the biggest thing at the end of the day that kind of brings that full circle. Is like, how do you do things inside, but also how do you do something for somebody else at that time of year, especially?
Yeah. And that's perfect because it was leading into end of November, beginning of December when that one was released as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved on to the client experience. This is one of the areas that we realized that we are different and we do run our salons differently. What our step-by-step routine is, how what our added values are, the cape versus the robe discussion, which I'm still find super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, and I think the client experience has been a hot topic as of late anyways, right? Where our prices are different and we're trying to figure out how to maintain and attract new clients. And I think it's a very hot topic to figure out how to, how to do that, how to get them in and keep them. I think, my favorite though, now that we're coming up, and I'll let you know, let everyone know that it's one of my favorites, just reflecting back on, was the self-care one, which is the next one that we did. And, yeah, I just think, it was really nice to have that vulnerability. And I think it's a really important topic that we don't talk about as hairdressers. And the fact of the matter is, we're not 20 forever. And it's not normal to stand all day and only drink coffee and not eat. Like these things aren't normal and they're not really okay. And we have this joking TikTok culture of I'm a hairdresser. Of course I've had free coffees already and no food. Like it's not a flex, you know? Like we say it in a joke, but it's not a flex. So I think just bringing up that topic of how do we work better, work smarter, just yeah, I think it was a good topic to cover.
Well, and this topic, for me personally, was a huge aha moment. I know I was very vulnerable in this topic, and I think this one I edited, and I almost removed a portion of it, and I'm so glad I didn't, because it's important to hear. So I would go back and listen to it. I'm not getting into it now, but I think that was the start of a new journey for me, and a new self care journey for myself, which makes me really happy. And I feel stronger because of it. But that talk definitely holds a place in my heart. And I'm glad that I was able to get over my own ego and kept that piece in, because it was hard to re listen to and re edit. And I know I needed that, because usually it's the hard things that you want to shy away from, but the areas that you need to work on. So,
I
yeah.
so love that you left it in, and I knew you said that when we finished recording it that you weren't sure, and I so love that you did because I think it's amazing that you made some choices after that for yourself because you chose to. But I think it's also amazing because you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what I'm talking about, go listen.
But that's the stubborn side of me too. Like if somebody had said, "Oh, you have to do X, Y, Z," I'd be like, "Screw you! I'm not doing that. It's my idea. I'll do it."
Yeah, I like it.
And then we got into making more money, raising your prices. When is the right time? How often? And how do you let your clients know? And this was really insightful, I think, because we have um, oh gosh, everything's getting raised left, right, and center right now. So this is such an
Yeah.
important talk. And I realized from having this conversation, where the last time I raised my prices to, we're actually doing a huge price increase right now, that it wasn't enough. And I needed to do more of an increase because we weren't, with the amount of value that we gave our clients, we weren't charging enough. And so we were actually attracting clients who, um, were trying to nickel and dime us because our prices weren't structured in the right price point. So this was, I found, very educational for myself as well.
I think that's a powerful statement too, is realizing what your price point is attracting.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
great.
And that might be a really good topic for another one for
Hmm.
season 2. Stay tuned. Um,
And
and this one was my absolute favorite one. I loved doing it. I loved listening to it. I have actually gone back and listened to this podcast a few times, which is the cheesiest thing when you're driving down and you're listening to your own voice. And I even had a few more aha moments. And this is the our New Year, New You. Like this is our New Year's resolutions. We actually recorded this one on New Year's Eve, which was just so much fun on itself too. And I have some really geeky things that I love and do. Um, but I absolutely love this podcast. I love it.
I think this was actually one of our most popular listened to episodes as well, which was really fun. And I love that it's your favorite because you are the mindset person. Because mindset and growth and all of those things, like that's not that I don't like those things. I definitely like those things and I'm right there for that train. I'm down, but it's definitely your thing. And I think it was so beautiful that we did record it on that day and all of the things that you do in your life to organize and prep and the excitement that you have. So yeah, let's add to that being our most popular one and everyone else go listen to it as well. And then we went into leading a team, just talking about your culture and your space and what you do, what you don't do. I think this one was really cool. You know, like you said, I have the same thing too. Like every time you listen to something, I'm like, "Ooh, that's a good idea." Because exactly that is like we do things differently. And I love that because we get to constantly learn and grow together, off of each other. And, yeah, I think that was a really cool one. I know when I've gone to different trainings or different things in the past, for me, I'm always like, okay, but like, when are your meetings? How often are your meetings? How long are your meetings? Who are you meeting with? Like, what are you doing? So I think that's what I really liked about that one is that we actually got a bit more specific. And I believe, I hope that that's just as impactful for others, those listening, as it was for myself. Then we went into cancellations, and I think that's another hot topic. Um, we really are moving from a non-digital world. I don't know, the old way of doing things, paper and pen, cash, to a digital world where everything's book appointments online, place your credit card information online. We're going to have a cancellation policy. Please show up here for your appointments. Here's a million reminders because we would like you to show up for your appointments. And so I think that was a really interesting one just because we really are transitioning. I think a lot of us had already started to do it a few years back, but I think there's a lot of us that are just kind of fumbling around trying to figure it out now. And I think it was just a good one to cover to help some people along with that.
I actually went back to that one and used some of your verbiage. Like when you were talking, just using some of the words and descriptions and then made them our own. But I know we had to tweak our cancellation policy. So that was actually really handy just to go back and to re-listen to that one and kind of be like, oh, right, this was a really good idea. So I'm going to implement this policy and I'm going to tweak it to suit my brand in this way. So that was fun. And then we got into the hot topic of gender neutral pricing and really trying to take people who are hesitant at going down this way of pricing and sort of making it a bit easier to understand as to why you should do it, things that you can call your service, how you can implement it within the salon, and how to have that conversation with the clientele. And then how to set a budget. Really, we're kind of almost going full circle from like we're getting into retail selling and retail buying from the very beginning of season one and now setting a budget. So you know what you have or know what products that you want. So how do you adhere to that every month or what should a budget look like? Kind of what are your good habits? How do you track it and that sort of stuff? And I think Alicia, you were on fire with this one because this is one of your amazing area of expertise. So the insights that you gave to this podcast were absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. I love numbers. I'm a nerd.
My robot friend over here.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, I don't even remember what I talked about on that one, even though it wasn't that long ago, but I know that every time I talk about numbers, I get a high. And so I'm sure it's great. Which, funny enough, I think leading into the next one that's going to be released shortly, but before this, when you're listening to it.
It's a
Pre-recording
time
things.
warp.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird. The one just before this, which will be about sustainability because it's Earth Month. Yay! I think that's another strong point for me. So I think that was another one where I just was on a high. And I think that's another thing that I enjoy about, like you were saying, like we're not actually scripted. We write down a few points that we would like to get out, but we aren't scripted. Why some of them are a bit longer than others. And we have wild tangents, but I think that's what makes us fun. Um, but it's exactly that. It's like we get to talk about the things that we get excited about, and then we both get to learn from it, which is really cool. And we have really loved hearing that other people have also gotten to learn from our things, including from other industries. Like, yes, we have salons. Yes, we're in the beauty industry, but a lot of these things work the same in any business. It might be just different what type of metrics or KPIs you're looking at. That's kind of the difference. Especially service based. I feel like a lot of it is going to be the same kind of stuff. So yeah. Um, so that's our little recap. We've included our favorite episodes in there. Um, do you want to share, or do you want me to share some thoughts on our visions and goals for our coming year for Hello Positive Image?
Yeah. So our visions and goals are we just we just want to make the beauty industry and the world a better place. We at the end of the day, like this is a passion project. Like our just because we released a podcast and we have positive image, it doesn't mean that we're just like bringing in a lot of income and money for this. And that's not what this is about at all. So our goals for the future is really to just try and get this podcast out there to as many ears as possible, because we really do feel like we have some great insight and great tips, and that there is so many people out there that need to hear things that we're saying. And it might invoke a thought, or it might invoke a new policy that leads to something amazing and great within your salon. And so the more people that can kind of hear the message that we're trying to bring to you, the better it's going to be. So we have, I think, our audacious goal is to really hit a lot of users or a lot of listeners out there in the podcast world. What else do we have? I know we had this
Oh
conversation.
yeah, we wanna raise our views, listens, hit count. We'd like to plan a meetup for a Facebook group
Yes.
and create like an annual mastermind off of that, which I think would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we'd like to have a few more of our master classes, preferably in person, and be able to share it with even more people. So increase the number of people that we have attending. Um, like I was saying, we already have one available, and we're going to have another one available virtually. So you can start to take advantage of these on your own, at your own time, at your own leisure.
So those are some pretty big, like, I think big goals that not big as in like huge giant ones, but like big as in like, I'd love to see this podcast and this grow to something where um, we're we're inviting even more listeners on to it, and having it as a bit more of like a conversation rather than us talking at you. So we're taking a break, and we will be back in September with new topics, we
Yeah.
would love for you to let us know what you want us to talk about or hear about, or even if there's some research stuff that we have to do. And so during the summer, I know when we kind of decided where we wanted to end the season off, we were talking about our own kind of summer plans and how us as salon owners, how do you fill your time in the summer? What kind of keeps you busy and keeps you occupied and keeps you going?
I think we actually have this as a podcast episode option. Anyways, um, I might have shared this in some of the episodes or with you. I'm not sure. For the last several years of solo owning my salon and especially all the nonsense of the pandemic, um, I've really just lost like me and sense of me and like what I like to do. So I feel like all I do is salon. And so this year is the first year that I'm really being able to just do me again, which is really exciting. So I just did this huge personal development course, and then I have a whole bunch of classes coming up. April is wild, absolutely wild. But I'm also going to go on a solo motorcycle road trip
Mm.
and camp along the Appalachian into the US. Super excited about that. And I'm also planning to go to Berlin for Daphnis's worldwide hair tour in the fall. So there's a lot. There's a lot of things. There's going to be so many other things in between there too. I'm sure of it. Um, but yeah, just me, all me.
I
What
love
about
that.
you? What do you got planned? I feel like you're
This,
always learning something, doing something. You're like learning
yeah.
addicted. You can't not learn something.
Well, this summer, so I'm actually just finishing a public speaking course. So I want to get on to more public speaking, and getting myself out there. So I'll probably be creating a sizzle reel and just, again, trying to put myself out there a little bit more because it's what I love to do. But I usually have a trip planned. I'm usually going somewhere. Traveling is like, that's my recharge. And this summer, I kind of feel a bit lost because I have nothing planned.
Hmm.
Um, and the
That
reason
means you
being
can have anything
is,
planned.
oh, I like that. I like that reframe. But my husband he's a pilot. And right now, upon recording, he is an instructor. And he has a job opportunity, interviews, and going through stuff with one of Canada's airlines. And so this summer, um, fingers crossed, everything goes as planned and as smoothly. He potentially will be becoming a pilot for one of the airlines, which kind of we have no idea what his schedule is going to be. The training that's involved with that could be 6 to 8 weeks. And so it's really hard to plan, a fun vacation when everything is up in the air. So after, fingers crossed he gets the job, then all the travel in the world because I get to fly standby and be discounted and everything like that, which also makes me really
Amazing.
happy. But I think just really taking time for me, going up to the cottage, and focusing on my team and just really reevaluating what I want the next 5 years of my business to look like within the salon because my year end or birthday is in July. And that's when I like to kind of have that time to sit down and just be like, okay, it's been 16 years. These are the things that I've accomplished. Where do I want to move forward? Because if we're not focusing or directing on moving one way or the other, we're not focusing on moving forward, then we're moving backwards. So again, trying
Um,
to move that forward. And a lot's changed within my salon recently, even in the past year. So just really just kind of taking some time for me. Maybe a spa day. That sounds really good, actually. So,
we can go to Body
oh,
Blitz together.
oh, yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
That is a good plan the podcast at Body Blitz Day. I think that sounds perfect. So
I love it. I think that's great. I think that'll be really good for you to be in a bit of a pause and letting things just be state. I think that's very valuable for you. And I'm excited for you to work through that and then also get to have little mini trips here and there when they come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something I'm used to doing. So maybe that's exactly why I need to do it right now, because I can get very distracted at the new shiny things in my life. So it's kind of nice to like just put those shiny things away and just focus on me as being the shiny thing for now.
Yeah.
Refine my shiny. Yeah.
Refine your shiny. Oh, is that what the new statement for the rest of the year needs to be?
Let your inner beauty shine.
Your shiny. No, just refine your shiny. we don't need to chat GPT it. Just refine your shiny. I think that's great. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you for listening with us. And we want to know your thoughts. And we look forward to sharing more of what we've moved forward through to in the spring or fall.
Yeah. From the spring to the fall. So have a great spring, summer, and we will see you, or you will hear us in September. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Take this knowledge and just keep developing yourself. And hey, we want to hear from you too. Join the conversation by using our hashtag #PositiveImagePodcast. Share your thoughts, questions, and success stories. Who knows? We might just feature you on an upcoming episode. But don't keep us a secret. Tag your friends too. And want to keep learning? Check out our show notes. Find us on Instagram at hello.positiveimage and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode filled with inspiration and insights.